you hear me?
I uh say something, man.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
All right.
All right. Peace, everybody. What's going on? I think we live, Noble.
Are we? I don't think so.
Oh
Are
no,
we?
we live. No, we live. We definitely live.
Man, I don't see it. You
You know,
sure?
I'm positive, bro. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at. I'm
Oh
looking.
yeah. I see it now. It caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, we live. So peace, everybody. What's going on, man? How's everybody doing out there? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Oh man, look at Eric, man. What's up, E-Dub? I ain't seen him in a minute.
The general.
The general in the building, man. What's going on, man?
Yeah.
I see everybody coming in here, man. Stacy and who else we got in here? Kabui, Raphael, Mr. Phoenix is in the building. Jigga
Yeah.
1017. I see everybody, man. Listen, if y'all would be so kind, man, and hit the like button, the thumbs up button, whatever that button is, y'all know the button. Hit the button, get the algorithm going, let everybody know that we over here tonight. Man, I found myself in a different seat tonight. I found myself in a much different position tonight. I think I'm gonna see how I can navigate this thing, man, and handle this thing. But what up, Noble? What it do, man?
What up? What up? Hey man, I told people, Mama, I made it, man. I'm Minister Jew interviewing me, Mama. I made it.
Cut it out, man.
I didn't made it. Yeah, for real. I didn't made it, bro. It's
Cut it out. Cut it out.
It's a pleasure, man. It's
Cut it
definitely a
out.
pleasure, you know.
So what's going on, man? So listen, man. Welcome again for y'all that's just chiming in. I am your host, Minister Jew, and tonight we're going to have a question and answer interview with none other than Noble Anpu de Beer. All right. Now, some of y'all may be new to this channel. So we got a few videos. We got some old time classics together. If you caught me on Rich Show, the last couple broadcasts, you go back 7-8 years ago, man. I would say probably 80% of those shows over there were myself and Anpu and I on that platform, really going in on some heavy subject matter. And I think we got a couple interviews over here on this page too, Noble. But you know, we're gonna talk tonight, man. We're gonna pick Anpu's brain. I got a couple questions that I want to ask this brother tonight, because it is the journey through consciousness, right? That's what we labeling it. And it's interesting, y'all. This is really a full cycle for me and this gentleman right here. You know, it's really a Jupiter cycle, right, Noble?
Yeah. Big Jew.
Big Jew. Hey, my new name, y'all. Big Jew.
Big Jew.
Big Jew. Right.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just interesting, man. I don't want to say tables turn, but it's like I find myself in a position where Anpu was more so my teacher, right? He was opening the way for me, and opening the way for many other people. And so I guess the first question I want to ask you tonight, Noble, is why Anpu the opener of the way? Why?
Man. Well, first off, thanks again. I never really took the position of me being this brother's teacher. I just think in truth, man, in the quantum dynamics of things, if you know me, I definitely have scientific research to validate a thing called past lives. And I'll just throw one source out there. You can go study the University of Virginia Department of Perceptual Studies, or the Division of Perceptual Studies, called DOPS. This is a real life thing. People are studying this, and its founder created some phenomenal work. I'm saying that to say that this is my brother, from another mother, as we call it. And it's very interesting because as a kid, you know, my mama chasing after a man who was a mailman, and we know Jew's a mailman. She moved to Chicago when I was in third grade when her sister got married. So my mama at a wedding, she see a nigga that's the mailman, he macking on my mama. My mama moved me to Chicago. And so, I always wanted a brother. I don't have a brother. Kind of coincidentally, this brother don't have a biological brother either. And I just always thought like this is my brother. And in this lifetime, I just happened to be, I guess, on the journey of a presenter first. But he went bald before me. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
went bald at an early age. And we know that this dude is, we call him the old man. So in this incarnation, I'm older, but soul wise, this is really my older brother and my big homie for real. But to answer the question, it's interesting, man. Spirit gave it to me. You get downloads all the time. And I've always had a keen relationship with dogs. As a little kid, first grade, my mama's mama had a dog named Storm, a husky, and he was vicious. And Storm would tear your behind up, but Storm wouldn't touch me. I was the only one that Storm would not bother me. Storm would allow me to pet him and play with him and everything. So I always had this infatuation with dogs, sort of like a dog whisperer. So when I started the journey through consciousness and I went through the Egyptian school, I saw Anubis, who is Anpu, which is the opener of the way. And that energy just resonated with me. Come to find out later, when I would continue to study, when I got into the astro science, my energy, a lot of my energy when I was born is in the eighth house, which is basically the southwest region of the sky. When planets are in this region of space, then this area denotes what we would call mysteries and metaphysics and death and rebirth and consciousness and past lives and psychology and all this, what we would call mystical things. So really, man, it just, is something that was just inherently in me. And when I went to Egypt and started studying, that particular deity spoke out to me and put up opener of the way. Yep.
That's dope, man. That's dope. I used to always say this earlier on. Uh, I used to call Anpu like the Barry Gordy of consciousness, right?
How
Like this
crazy,
guy,
man.
no man, this guy is going to find you. I promise you this. If you got any potential, if it's there and it's latent, he's gonna pull it out of you. I remember, man, you know, he's being modest, y'all, but he was my teacher, right? Uh we would have the Astro course, Astro
Mhm.
101. And man, uh I used to be having all these breakdowns, decoding all this stuff. And I used to call Noble. I used to be like, Noble, you going on I think it was Blog Talk at the time or
Yeah, we
something.
was on Blog Talk. Yeah.
And I used to be like, Noble, I was like, man, this, just break cracking codes, whatever we doing. And I'm like, man, make sure you say that to the people.
Right. Right.
And Noble used to be like, what? Like, he's like, nah, bro, that's your stuff. You come on and say it.
Right.
And I used to be like, what? I'm not coming on nobody. No, that's not me. And so, man, he's always been that way, man. Like, no matter who it is, this guy is going to open the pathway and the doorway for you to come in and blaze a trail. You know what I mean? So I just want to say I appreciate you for that, man.
Oh nah, man. It was all about, you were so bright, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I say, like this is my brother, you know what I mean? It's you was just so bright that I've been nah, bro, it's your science, you know what I'm saying? And I knew how to get him, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, hey, I want you to ride with me on this Blog Talk show. What you say I did to you on the show? You said I got
Oh
ghost
no,
on you?
I never get this. I never get this. I never get this. We were doing it was Venus through the zodiac
Okay,
signs.
okay, okay.
Okay.
Mm,
And something was going on with Venus at the time. I forget exactly what was, maybe she was at home or exalted, whatever the case may have been. That was like the popular conversation piece inside of the conscious community in the astro world. So we were putting on a show and we supposed to ride shotgun, right? And Pooh he gonna lead the way, and I'm just gonna just add a couple little sprinkles, a little salt over here, a little pepper, and man, we very first sign, Venus through Aries. He says, Jew, hey, I gotta go, bro. You gotta handle the show. I'm like, what?
Right.
What?
All
What?
right.
Like, really? You going? I said, man, this sucker got me. What I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
so he always been that way. So which leads me to the next question. What sparked you to want to understand the dynamics of the heavens? Like, what pushed you
Mm.
into that arena where you felt like you wanted to be a teacher of the craft of astrology?
Yeah. Um, you know, it's not necessarily per se a teacher. I never really look at myself as a teacher, although, family members on the other side call me professor. Um, it's all about sharing, bro. Like I just want to share, you know what I mean? And so what happened was I was in the streets and I was bored out of my mind. And allegedly I had coke money. But I would go to the bookstore and I would get philosophy for dummies, astrology for dummies. I had so much time on my hand, bro. I was buying model cars and putting model cars together because
Mhm,
in my allegedly in my unrefined state, in a sense, they used to call me car lot too because I used to buy a lot of cars. And I would read these books in the bookstore, but when I get home, I promise to God, I would not touch these books. I wouldn't touch them when I get home, but I'll be in the bookstore just passing time and looking at it. And so um in '06, I had an implosion. It happened in different levels and different stages. But in '06, something really happened where I opened up the book and I swear to you, it was as if I already knew it. It's the weirdest thing in the world. When I was reading, it was just like boom, 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 boom. It wasn't no really taking notes and quizzing myself. Okay, what's the fifth house? And it wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? It was just like boom, boom. Like it just, I don't know what it was. It just unfolded.
mhm,
And so I had the opportunity with a brother, Ali, Philly, was going to these meetings that he was hosting. And I just asked him, I say, man, can I open up for you? And he said, yeah, yeah, go ahead, God. You know what I'm saying? And I would just open up and share what it was that I learned. And that was it, bro. It was just about, sharing. Like, he was teaching on stuff and I was just like, man, that can I open up? And I just wanted to share, the science and whatnot. So
mhm.
that was it.
Okay, okay, okay. So from that, because I'm really what's happening tonight is, y'all. Um, I've witnessed this journey and walked with this brother in this journey. Um, and so I'm kind of walking down the timeline, Noble,
Yeah, yeah.
of the series of events as far as how I remember them occurring, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I remember, man, I saw this brother on YouTube. Man, bro, listen,
Yeah.
I'm still awe inspired by that video, man, because
Ah, man.
it was epic, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the energy in that video, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it looked like they was like in a dark alley in Philadelphia somewhere,
yeah.
right? And it's like 6 or 7 brothers. And let me tell you, if y'all don't know Anpu, when he gets like, if it's a match lit under this guy, see y'all hear this guy, this cancer rising, right? You know, but boy, let something come around on that Mars and that Mercury.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, it's on, buddy.
It's on.
It's
Fuck
on.
with Abe Lincoln. That'll trigger me.
And we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get
That's
to
my trigger.
it.
you know.
But it was the rumble, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
passion and the conviction. I'm like, and I didn't know nothing about nothing. I just said, I'm calling this dude. I said, because whatever this dude is on, I'm on the same thing.
Right.
So I
Right.
hit him up. And I'm like, man, bro, could you come down to Chicago? Like, let's put, hey, we can rent out a spot, come down here and speak, bro. Like, whatever y'all was talking about in that alley, you need to be talking about it right here.
Right. Right.
So, and so from there, the next stage of the development of the relationship grew. And so what I want to ask the people is, when I ask people, but ask you, these trips, man, uh,
Mm.
all these mounds, man, the mound builders of America, basically.
Yeah.
Um, you give the people an idea of what that is and why that was important to you at that particular time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit. On that video you talking about, we was in New York in Harlem at Frederick Douglass School, an event hosted by Sonetta. And um, you know, I'm from the school and the cloth, and I still am that way. What God was like, fuck the Illuminati. We the Illuminati. And and that's my sentiment. You know
Mhm,
what I'm saying? And that's
mhm,
what it is. In that video, I got my Army Masonic hat on because I done been through that school too.
mhm,
And so I was just one of those dudes, man, where, y'all telling me, because I'm a student too. I'm coming up in the game. It's people who speaking and got way more information than me, right? So I'm a student too. So these teachers is telling me that, there's a white supremacy issue, and the elite intelligent white boy is a Mason and he got the codes and the secrets to this shit, right? But you come to find out that in the North, the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, the white boy and Prince Hall, the black boy, they cool, bro. They got fraternal relations with one another. And so we can have conversations. We can go in a lodge and we can sit down. And I'm like, oh, give me that. I'm going to get that. And so then I later heard that the legend is the Moors knew that they was about to fall out of civilization and grace, and they initiated the white boys into the mysteries for a future time for when we will come along and come back and go get our rightful place. So to me, it was like, well, shit. If this nigga knows some degrees, and you supposed to be walking around here with 360 degrees of wisdom, and you can't even talk to this nigga and his cryptic system, you a peon. You got to go get that. So I'm gonna go get that. That's just how I am, bro. You can't put supremacy off on me because it's the weakest thing in the world. You heard? Like
preach,
seriously, it's
preach,
the weakest shit in the world to me. You know what I
preach.
mean? And so he saw that video, and that's what I was on then. And he did end up booking me, and thank you too, man, because he booked me to Chicago, and we actually had an event in the Shaw and whatnot. But to go to your question, the mounds came in 2011 was the first trip, and I had separated a business partnership, ended a business partnership in February 2010. And 2010 was the year where I was doing some recon work. We launched the blog talk, we launched my website, and Spirit is just guiding me, literally. And where I'm born at has more mounds than anywhere. In fact, as a kid, I was actually taken to some on a field trip. And so now things are starting to come full circle far as me learning about the native indigenous energy that's here. I'm coming into this information that these mound structures, Serpent Mound in Ohio, are a magnetic anomaly. Literally, if you take a compass there, the compass go crazy. You can't even, it won't read because it's a magnetic influx of energy that's there. And so, Spirit just gave it to me, man, like, hey, on the equinox, in the summer solstice, in the fall equinox, so spring equinox, summer solstice, fall equinox, gather the people together and start taking people right here in North America in their own backyard to understand the power that is here. And that was superimposed on, well, if the United States of America is the most powerful country, then what is the spiritual blessing that is making this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if it's physical, then it got to be something spiritual that's in alignment with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I start looking, and it's like, oh, your Mount Shastas in LA, well, in Northern California rather, your Mount Pisgah in North Carolina, the Blue Mountains, just all these various sites and stuff, man. The goal was to let's go to these places and let us project our thoughts in unison from these places. See it like an antenna as a power booster of a thought. And as you know, we've had phenomenal things take place from us doing things like that. And so it's hard to explain, bro. It's kind of like in 2012 when I came into that clear audience ability. The best way I can explain it is there's a mental impression that comes upon the right side of my mind, which makes me think about the scriptures of cast your nets to the right and all that. And my father is on the right, I'm on the right hand of the father type stuff. There's this image of a download that comes to the right side, and I'm able to, it just comes, and I just, I honor it. You know what I mean? So
Hey,
that was it.
I'm not gonna let you just glaze over that either. Because listen, I'd be a fan still. Like, when Anpu and Keisha was doing them shows, I never, Astro Tarot Hour, right? Uh,
Hmm.
Dope, man. If y'all ain't never caught them shows or listen, I don't know. They asking some people in the chat saying that we archive. I think Anpu got it somewhere.
Yeah, I gotta find that drive, man. Yeah.
But but yeah, no, man. Tell the people about that, man. Like this dude used to be up there, man. They'd be total strangers calling, right?
Well, the general, Rick, he's here. Rick was the first person. His mama came to me, and I was reading, and I was like, man, it's a woman. Her name start with a G, and it seemed like she passed. And I never forget. And I think his mom is named Gloria. You never forget your first one of anything, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
anything that you do. And I think her name was Gloria, and he was like, yeah, man. Oh, that's my mom, Gloria, man. She just passed. And I don't know where that came from. I just know it came from the right side. You know what I'm saying? And then later I'll be reading people, and it would just a name pops up, man.
Man, listen. One time
You know?
you said, I think it was like Paul or something. Like you
Mm.
had a uncle named Paul, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." I was like, I said, "Time out, though. Time out, time out."
Right.
This is getting strange, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
nah, man, that was some dope stuff. Now you mentioned, and listen, you could go as deep into this as you want. Uh, you know what I prefer, but
Hmm.
you mentioned something about projecting your thoughts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and so there's a there's a disc out there
Mm.
called
Mhm.
galactic activations,
Yeah.
and these were some of the most epic times for me personally in my life.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
Listen, man, those emergency broadcasts.
Ooh wee. Ooh wee. Yeah.
Listen, y'all had to be there to understand. But give the people some insight. Now, what is galactic activation? What is that?
So galactic activation is when we collectively come together with a thought, an intention, and we send that thought at a directed object in space with one single unified lasers, like a laser, um, with a certain intention to take place. And I'll give you one, one that's kind of light, because these things can get gangster. Um, it was maybe 2013. and was it 13? Nah, maybe 11, maybe. There's a year where there was a new moon, simply meaning the sun and moon are perfectly joined together. But when that happens, you can't see the moon because when the moon is close to the sun, the brightness of the sun blocks out the moon. And it was in Leo. And at that time, I was a student of the Kabbalah, and Leo is symbolic. Well, yeah, Leo is symbolic for the serpent simply because there's a letter called Teth. See, each Hebrew letter either correspond with, you got 22 letters. 3 are considered the mother elements. Aleph is air, Meme is water, Shin is fire. There's no earth because you, ladies and gentlemen, are the earth where all of this takes place. And we need to understand that. So there is no earth, okay, far as the letter system goes in Hebrew. And then you have 7 letters known as the double letters that correspond to planets, which are your days of the week. And then the remaining 12 letters correspond to the 12 zodiac signs. So when a new moon is in Leo in the Hebrew system, that corresponds to the letter Teth. And Teth, the letter looks like a serpent. So I said, okay, what we're going to do is get together and we see the sun. And we happen to come from a people, these Egyptians, who had, the Uraeus or the serpent on their crowns, right? On their foreheads. And so what we're going to do is visualize a serpent from the pineal and project it to the sun in the form of a wave, because light waves and invisible waves of energy is a serpent in of itself too. So the energy that you're feeling from the sun is basically a serpent, and there's a serpent in your thought that's going back to the sun. And just fall back and see what happens. And what happened was, there's a story, and you can look it up. There's a story where a Tennessee couple were driving on the highway and a serpent appeared on their windshield. And I'll never forget, because it happened in Cordova, Tennessee, which is like Cordova, Spain, which is very interesting because that's more Spain that we know historically. And they were headed to Memphis, which is Menefer, which Memphis is named after Memphis, Egypt, Menefer. And this is why in Memphis, Tennessee, on the Mississippi River, there's the glass pyramid building that's owned by the fish people, Bass Pro, right? And because Mississippi the Mississippi River had more mounds than Africa and Egypt had pyramids on the Nile. Okay. And so this couple had a serpent on the window, and I never forget, her name was Rachel Fisher, and she was 26 years old at the time, and she had 3 children, Elizabeth, Rivers, and the middle child name was Judah. I said, whoa, hold on. You mean to tell me a white woman named a little white kid named Judah? He was 2.5 years old. He was the middle child. Elizabeth, Rivers, and Judah. Judah is the lion. Well, if the lion is Leo in the sky, and we just did a meditation on a freaking serpent by understanding the mysticism of Kabbalah, you understand what I'm saying? Then the question becomes, did this serpent pop up? And this is 2011, matter of fact. You can look into the story, because what happened was on our very first trip in Serpent Mound in 2011, March 22nd, 23rd, 24th. See, I used to put people in the van and wouldn't tell you where we was going. You had to meet me somewhere. And I would never tell nobody what we doing, because this is real priesthood type work. And so people in New York came, met me in Philly. People in Philly, we met up at Sister Bear's place in Philly and put them in the van, and we drove and we went to Serpent. And a couple days later, of March of 2011, an Egyptian cobra, not an Indian cobra, an Egyptian cobra came up missing out from the Bronx Zoo. And majority of the people on that trip was, in fact, Sanchia is in the chat. Her and Jason was there. Her and her husband was there. She'll tell you. They walked the serpent. I got pictures of everybody walking the serpent, and they lived in New York and met me in Philly. And so couple days later, after us being at Serpent Mound, which is a vortex in of itself. Don't y'all know, if you look into Serpent Mound, they'll tell you that a freaking asteroid smacked that joint. Okay, so this is like alien transmissions in this particular spot, right? In a sense. And so yeah, when we went there and walked the serpent, then the Egyptian cobra came up missing. Now, it wasn't my intention on that trip for that to happen. I can admit that. But when I saw it, I had to ask the question, well, what if that shit happened because all of us was there with crystal bowls and jump singing, and like it was popping at that event. You know what I'm saying? I still got some old footage of it. The video, the audio's messed up, but I got some footage of it. And we raised the frequency. White people stopped doing what they was doing. They came along with their non-dancing self, but good-hearted people, they came along dancing and stuff. And we literally raised the vibration of the place. And then a couple of days later, the serpent came up missing. So I had to ask the question, like, hold on. What if that came up missing because of what we did? And then from that point, I said, let's test the field and see if our thoughts can affect reality and become reality. And that became the opener right there for sure. So, that's that.
And listen, y'all, that was really a PG. If we're gonna go off a movie rating, right? That was a PG. It's some R-rated material in there, though.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, that's why I say we're gonna open the door just a little bit, give people some insight to that. My next question is this, man. I never forget this day. I get a call from Noble, and for y'all that don't know, whenever we're having a breakthrough moment, like it's very exciting, it's phenomenal, it's amazing. The first words that usually come across the line is, and excuse us,
yeah.
nigga,
Facts.
Nigga, right? And listen, man. Listen. That's who we are. You know what I mean? We can't sugarcoat it. That's just who we are. And so he called you like, nigga, Joe, you ain't gonna believe this, bro. And so I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on? So he points me to a specific we just call it a chart. And he's like, Joe, look at this date. And look at this date. And look at this date. And I said, okay, what am I looking at though, Noble? He's like, I want you to look here. So I'm looking, and I'm like, this is strange. So then, as I'm looking at this, now I start to go back to look at all of these quote unquote standout events in history. And every time we went to look, it was the exact same phenomenon. And I'm talking about hundreds of years, 200 years, didn't matter.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you tonight, can you give some people some insight? Because see, like they don't know how profound of an astrologer you are. Like, because see, for a moment, Anpu kind of stepped away from the scene. That's another question for a little bit later down the road in this interview. But like, can you give the people an idea of the amount of predictions that you had in a 2-year window, and kind of give them, if you still can remember some of those things that you predicted, and in their respective categories too, because that's important. And give the people an idea, man, of what some of those things were and how often you were bullseyeing some of these experiences or situations in the world, is what I'll call them.
Yeah, man. So you have to have intellectual curiosity. And I decided to see if there was a common denominator with assassinations first. That's Anpu, the the one that can understand the dead, the phenomenon, what's happening. In fact, rest in peace, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, just checked out of here, and I cracked the code to that today, right before I came on, and then was showing my people the synchronicity of what they got going on and why they coming together, because it's some grand shit that has just opened up. So rest in peace to one of the goats of investing and getting this paper. Um, so I started with assassinations, and I found a common denominator. And you know how it be, Jew, when you be with the scripture, all of a sudden a thought come to you. And there's a saying in the Quran that goes something like, it wasn't you who slayed them, it was I who slayed them with your hand. In other words, nigga, you ain't shit. Allah did it through you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like when we get these downloads and something tell you to look, and you look, and all of a sudden it's that license plates that y'all be seeing, or it's that number that be popping up. What told you to look? Because that's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking at events like major earthquakes, the one in San Francisco and at the I think it was a baseball stadium. And then I started looking at events like NASA, the Challenger exploded. And at the time we was in the era where school shootings were taking place, in a sense, and I went to go look at those, and there was a common denominator between all of them. And so that's what Jew was talking about. I sent him these charts, and it's like it's a common denominator that was there. And so it's just kind of like basic science. If you can see a pattern of the past, then technically that means when that pattern comes up in the future, then that day should be some type of replica of these type of events.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started calling out code red. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like a 3-day window. So it'll be here's an example. Let's say code red from November 28th, 29th, and 30th. This, if it is likely to happen, if it happens, it is more likely to happen in this timeline. And these are the events: a police shooting, a school shooting, a famous person dying, or some natural act of disaster. Natural act of disaster like an earthquake, tsunami, Hurricane Katrina, that kind of stuff. And the events like the Boston Marathon bombing happened.
That's right.
Old dude Dylan who went and shot up
Dylan Roof.
Dylan Roof, who shot up the people in the church in South Carolina. Countless airplane crashes, which they tell you is like 1 out of 11 million, and I have a few of them on record, timestamp, because I used to post this on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Because Twitter is timestamped. Twitter would be like, hey, November 28th, 2023, 9:09 p.m. You know what I'm saying? So I would post my shit on Twitter, and I used to tag Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. I used to tag Bill Gates at Microsoft. And I used to tag one more other person in dealing with the tech, because I'm like, y'all figured out a fucking algorithm to this shit. And so it's just horrific events like that, man. You know what I'm saying? I know Boston, that Colorado shooting, when I don't know if it was Batman that came out or something, and dude went in the movie theater and wet people up. That was another one of the ones that was called. And then I started tagging Snoop Dogg and Russell Simmons, because at the time Snoop had went through a spiritual transformation, and he became Snoop Lion, and he was all on his Rasta vibe and shit. And I'm like, all right, cuz, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You on your shit, nigga. Nigga, hey, Snoop, this shit about to happen, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And then that shit happened. Hey, Russ, this shit, this nigga supposed to be the meditation motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? On your shit. So I'm just trying to, you're like, yo, if we can get people who got a fucking voice, and we can get the attention of the people, we know how to direct thought, and it's game on. Put me and Minister Jew on the biggest platform in the world, and I swear to God, we really believe and wholeheartedly know the world is going to change in a fucking day.
That's a fact.
That's on God.
That's
as they say in Chicago, on phone them. All right? Seriously. The world's going to change in a day. You know what I'm saying? You let us be a guest speaker opening up for Minister Farrakhan when it's the Million Man March. Oh shit. The world's gonna change. The world will change, you know. And so that's just it unfolded that way, bro. You know.
So listen, man. You mentioned earlier what gets you going, right? What stirs you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so listen, y'all, it was a moment where Anpu was so locked into the Civil War.
Yeah.
it- the word astrology, spirituality hardly ever came out of his mouth during this tenure. I would call him up like, no, da, da, da. He would be like, Jew, bro, go read Sherman Douglas or the Douglas
Mhm.
debates or
Yeah.
da, 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 da. So and
Mhm.
this listen, y'all, this is very, very important right here. Noble. This may take some time, but if you can wrap it up or put it in a nutshell, who was Abe Lincoln to black people?
Mhm.
And what did the Civil War, what was the real crux of the Civil War? And I guess the real question that I'm trying to the answer that I'm trying to get from you is what misperceptions do black people have about the Civil War, Abe Lincoln, and slavery that's got us like, you know, veering off track and
Mhm.
making false assumptions about all white people. If you can kind of talk about that, I
Mhm.
think it'd be very beneficial for the people that are listening.
Yeah. I can't understand how you can be so much for your people, black people, the struggle, the plight in today's time where you wasn't in civil rights era, you didn't live in that era, you damn sure wasn't a slave, but we walk around here with a chip on our shoulder as if that problem affect us, and that's cool. I'm with it. But since that's the crux of the argument, slavery, I don't understand how you do not go into the Civil War. It's impossible to avoid the Civil War. Let's just be honest about it, right? So the misconception that people have is you're listening to people who are emotional, who don't go into the Civil War, and they just want to sound deep and off rip. They're going to tell you that, this whole thing was about industrialization and we just went from a new one slave master to the next slave master because we ain't free. That they just want to sound deep and keep you a slave, right? Um, and that's really the biggest misconception is we don't do the research and we're parrots and we're just following these people because they got, they're on the stage and they don't want to do the research and they just gonna tell you some shit to sound deep again. But Abraham Lincoln is the final blow to slavery. Slavery was ended in a 3-stage process. So I say, hey, I cash app somebody $50 tonight if they can tell me off rip, off top, without Googling it, be honest, off rip, if you can tell me what president made it illegal to send slaves out of the country. Then another president made it illegal to import slaves into the country. And Abraham Lincoln is the one who killed the domestic aspect of slavery. And we don't know this history. And so me being, because I'm a freedom fighter, I'm an Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my first school of thought was red, black, and green. And then I had to temper that and join the Nation of Islam because I was under the perception that if the white boy get out of line, I'm rolling with the Nation of Islam because it's an organized unit and I'm fucking him up. That's just me, right? And so I realized that I ain't gonna do it by myself, and I'm gonna roll with a crew who I think is gonna put this work in, right? And so, um, but when you go back and you study the Civil War, you got to study Abe Lincoln, of course. And Abe Lincoln gave up some jewels, man. He gave up some jewels. This is a guy who was very, very clever. He's an attorney, and he would do things like you know Horace Greeley was a newspaper editor and a politician out of New York, and he asked Abraham Lincoln. He was a Republican, and he asked Abraham Lincoln, "Yo, what's up with this slavery shit in the middle of the Civil War? What's up with this slavery shit in the Civil War?" And Abe Lincoln was like, "Listen, everything I do it for the Union, right? I do it for the Union. If I could save the Union and not free any slaves, I'll do that because this is about the Union in South Carolina." And when I speak about the South, I'm speaking from the Confederate standpoint, not my people in the South with the good soul food and the big booties, right? I ain't talking about. I'm talking about the Confederates, right? So Abe is telling South Carolina, you don't have a right to leave the United States of America because there was an agreement called the Articles of Confederation and the Perpetual Union. That part always get left out. We just know the Articles of Confederation. But the full thing is called the Articles of Confederation and the Perpetual Union, that we're going to be unified forever, ever. Okay? So you don't have a right, South Carolina, to say that you're seceding and you're leaving the United States of America. You in violation of this agreement that we have to the Union. Shout out to my man Mike P. That's in the who you think is a white boy, you know what I mean? But we got an album coming out together as well. And people will run and say, look, Abraham Lincoln said if he can say the Union without getting slaves, he'd do it. He wasn't for black people. And it amazed me. And this is how I know if anybody quote that shit, they're quoting and they never read the shit themselves. Because the very next sentence, Abraham Lincoln said, if I could free all of the slaves and save the Union, I would do that. And if I can free one slave and save the Union, I will also do that. Right? And so then to understand Lincoln, you absolutely have to go to the 1858 Lincoln Douglas debates, period, if you're going to understand Lincoln. Now, when you get into these debates, 1858 up in Illinois, Stephen Douglas, who Abraham Lincoln never called him senator, he always referred to him as Judge Douglas, always. And that's interesting because Abraham Lincoln is appealing to his moral, intellectual compass when he does that. Okay. And he tells him what Stephen Douglas says, hey, man, when Abraham Lincoln is down here in Little Egypt, by the way, Southern Illinois is called Little Egypt. And if you look at it, you're going to see a city called Cairo. You're going to see a city called Thebes. Right? You're going to see some Egyptian cities down in Illinois. And Illinois at the bottom is where the Ohio River and the Mississippi River meet, like in Egypt, where the White and Blue Nile meet. And this is why Cairo, Illinois is at the bottom. Okay. And then it flows down south to where? Memphis, Menepher, where the pyramid is. So the ancient energy is also here in America. What a coincidence. For some reason, some white boys who you think conquered you started naming shit after you. What you think they weren't going to make the connection and figure the shit out? No, it's for you, silly. And so when I start seeing this shit, this is what I'm saying. Like, oh shit, we got the story wrong, right? So anyway, National Treasure, the movie, kept telling you the treasure, the Egyptian people were here on Wall Street. That's you. And then the second movie was all about the goddamn Olmecs, and they was here in America. That's you. You're here. It's you. Right. And so anyway, Douglas is like, yo, when Lincoln is down here in the South, he be talking about the white man is of the superior position. But when he get up north towards Chicago, he switches it up and he be like, black people is about equality. And the Declaration of Independence was for black people and black people are created equal with the white man. What you got to say about that, Abe? How you gonna switch it up? So he's calling Abe out as being two-faced or double-faced and
Fork
things of
tongue.
that nature, forked tongue and whatnot. And you got to understand the sentiment. You got to understand war. And so, of course, politicians lie today. If you go down south to a place that is more favorable for white supremacy, you're gonna kind of talk that language, right? Because you want to get some of them votes. And then when you get back on the home turf, you're gonna do your thing, right? And so, who am I to believe? Am I to believe these raggedy ass niggas who are emotional about the subject matter of slavery and never studied Abraham Lincoln? Or should I believe from a firsthand source, Stephen Douglas, who was there and said, don't fall for that shit? Abraham Lincoln trying to trick y'all for the Southern vote, because when he up north, that nigga, they be teaching what he called black Republicanism. That's what he said. Stephen Douglas said this shit. So Stephen Douglas ain't falling for this shit. You see what I'm saying? And so, when we start looking at the measures, like, for example, when Abraham Lincoln got inaugurated, he's like, yo, man, listen, I don't know what all the hoop and holler is about. I don't believe I have the power to end slavery. I'm not going to do that. And South Carolina is like, you full of shit. We heard your debates in 1858, nigga. Now, 2 years later in 1860, you telling me you ain't gonna do this shit? South Carolina wasn't going for it. They was like, yo, we out. And they bust the first shot. They shot at a boat called the Star of the West, right? In Charleston. Boom, start shooting and shit. Then Mississippi was like, yeah, we with you, man. We out too, right? And so then the South started seceding at the election of Abraham Lincoln, but Lincoln said, yo, I don't think I had the power to do this. Now the Civil War then started. So the South is the one that launched the offense, because South Carolina fired the first shot. It's called the Battle of Fort Sumter. Okay. So South Carolina starts this shit. The North ain't start this shit. Abe Lincoln ain't start this shit. Right. The South started this shit. So Abe Lincoln is like, listen, since they started it and fired the shot, we don't have to make this shit about slavery. We can make this shit about you don't have a right to lead a union.
That's
Because
right.
see, if we make it about slavery, you're going to have these people called border states, West Virginia, Kentucky. These motherfuckers got slaves. So now these people can be like, yo, fuck you, Abe. I'm going down here with the South and we riding on you too. So now we creating more enemies if we make it about slavery. So if we make it about the union and use this as our shield, then we going to create less enemies in this war. This is strategy. This is G shit. This is why I be telling people, put all that Sun Tzu shit down, nigga, when you over here in the West talking about our people, and study the real war that took place that actually freed our people. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is, ain't no Native Americans come get you with their bitch ass. All right. They in fact, some of them enslaved you, called Cherokee. Okay. They enslaved you. Look into it. In fact, there's a treaty of 1866 where the United States government had to tell the Chickasaw and the Choctaw, stop enslaving African Americans. Stop it. It's over. Slavery. I got the treaty. Look it up. Okay. The government told them this. All right. So certain Southern Native Americans, they was in on the bullshit. Right. And so, this thing that get me hot, man. And so anyway, Abe was a G. You know what I mean? He was a bona fide G. And he's playing the way you should play it in the art of war, and he don't want to create enemies. And he gets his, and this is the thing, when you understand the Civil War, you have what's called the Eastern Theater. Interesting, they call war like a movie. Theater is movie. They call war theater. Okay. You have the Eastern Theater where there's armies fighting in Virginia, known as Manassas, also known as Bull Run. Okay. And we fight two battles here. First Bull Run, second Bull Run. We're fighting in the Virginia area, and the United States of America is getting their ass whooped over here in Virginia. But out further west in Mississippi, such as Vicksburg and Tennessee, the United States Army is kicking their ass over there. And this is where Grant and William T. Sherman is over there in Mississippi and Tennessee area. But on the East Coast, the United States is getting their ass whooped. So Robert Lee, the head Confederate general, It's like, listen, he from Virginia, and he's like, listen, war on the soil is taxing. We got to get this shit out of Virginia, man, and put it on their land so we can tax their land and resources. So Robert Lee says, listen, we're going to go up north into Maryland, and it was called the Battle of Antietam. Look it up. It's called the Battle of Antietam. All right. And the United States won that battle. And look into the history of it. After the United States wins that battle, guess what happens? Abraham Lincoln, who said at his inauguration a year prior, I don't have a right to end slavery. As soon as he got his first military victory over here in the Eastern Theater, he came out and issued the Emancipation Proclamation. I proclaim that all the slaves are free.
That's right.
Nigga, you just said you weren't going to do that. You just said you don't have the power to do that. But see, I'm going to tell you like this, because it's deeper than aid. The sentiment of the United States always been for us. We don't know that, though, right? We don't know it. I'll point your attention to the secession speech of Mississippi. Go read it. Mississippi is telling you that, hey, the United States government has always been interfering with the institution of slavery, and we would like to point your attention to a document called the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, where they said no slaves were allowed in the new territory north of the Ohio River, which was Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And dig this. This is 2 years before the Constitution. The Constitution ain't even in play yet.
Way before Abe.
And listen, this way before Abe. And listen, they didn't even have this territory. It was an idea that they were going to have this territory. And in this new territory, because Ohio became the first state in this territory, when we get this new territory, ain't no slaves allowed in it.
That's right.
Okay? And I'll close with this. It was Abraham Lincoln in his inauguration that pointed me to the 1774 Articles of Association. Y'all need to go read that for yourself, because it's like a 12 bullet point grievance with King George. And go read article number 2, point number 2. Point number 2 told King George, we will have nothing to do with slavery come this upcoming December. We're not going to hire no boats. We're not doing anything with slavery. We wholly discontinue it. We ain't fucking with slavery. 1774, but wait a minute. The American Revolutionary War started the next year in April of 1775. That's the Battle of Concord and Lexington. So before the American Revolutionary War, it was some OGs here who said, we ain't with that slavery shit. That's some bullshit. And we going to overthrow that shit. See, what you need to understand is how the states came into statehood. Delaware is a slave state. They was first. That's why they license plate say the first state. Pennsylvania came in as a free state to check that shit. Then Jersey came in as a free state as the third state. And then Georgia came in as a slave state to check that shit. It was this chess move that was happening. And I'll close with this. Y'all don't remember the Missouri Compromise. Missouri wants to come into the Union as a slave state. And then there's some other people that was for us that said, nah, yo, Massachusetts, we're going to break up that little eastern back half and we're going to call that shit Maine. Maine, you're going to come in as a free state. And guess what, y'all? Go look at the order of statehoods. Maine came in before fucking Missouri did. And it was called the Missouri Compromise. Missouri wanted to come in as a slave state, but we created Maine, and Maine came in before Missouri actually came in. Facts. I said, yo, this shit is better than chess. These niggas is moving states. And so you had to, so right. You gotta follow. You gotta follow. See, this is the thing. All these niggas that's up here talking this shit, they talking it from a loser's perspective. We've been saying that shit for over 10 years.
Yeah, which is damn right.
They're talking it from a losing perspective. The white man supremacy, MK Ultra, and all that shit, right? Only thing you had to do was follow the trail of victory, because your ass is free. and you can sit up here and talk about what the white man doing, and guess what? He don't come slap the shit out you and imprison you and kill you for doing it. In fact, he allows you for some fucking reason. He allows Mr. Tariq Nasheed to build an African American museum and talk shit about white folks and reparation, and there's no repercussions behind it.
None.
Okay.
You could travel all over the world.
You can leave and go to Africa.
Leave. You could.
Listen, and see what y'all don't know is
where they can go, Noble. Where they can go.
You can go to Africa. Like my daddy told me, people like Candace Owens need to go to Africa. That's what he told me. And but y'all don't know that there was a president like James Madison, the father of the Constitution, James Monroe, which is my nigga. Monroe is a gangster. Monroe is like one of my, man, that's my dude. Monroe told them niggas in the Monroe Doctrine. He told Europe, he told England, France, and Spain, yo, don't come over here in the Americas trying to colonize a motherfucking thing. If you got the British, if y'all got Jamaica already, the French, y'all got Haiti already, that's cool. You got that. But don't start trying to colonize new shit, or we gonna take it personal and it's gonna be a problem. This is James Monroe. So then, well, look at the Monroe Doctrine. And then he signed off on the piracy law of 1819, 1820, and said it's illegal for any boat to be on the Atlantic Ocean transporting slaves. And then they created something called African Squadron. The United States Navy did this shit called African Squadron. And they patrolled the Atlantic Ocean and they patrolled Brazil, right, to make sure no slaves was being traded on the Atlantic Ocean. These same cats, Monroe and especially Madison, this is where you get Freetown, Liberia from, because Liberia's flag looked like the United States flag. You had missionaries and folks that come in and said, listen, y'all want to go back to Africa? We about to finance this shit for y'all to go back to y'all motherfucking motherland. Hello.
That's right.
See, it wasn't no red, black, and green. It wasn't no Muslims. It wasn't none of this shit that we cling to for our freedom against the United States to help us get out that situation. But you don't know that shit. And see, if they can't admit it, I'm telling you now, they full of shit.
And not only that, Noble, it's this whole idea of a lot of these people know that most people are not going to take the time out to do any digging for themselves. Mm-hmm. So what happens is there's an identity politics that's being played because you have a similar skin tone as the person that's narrating the conversation, that's trying to get over the point, right? And so they're latching on to the emotional temperament, to your emotional body about the injustices that you see on your news TV station every night, about who got shot last week and who got shot this week and da, right? Mm-hmm. So there people are playing on that part of your being, right? So that you never ever have a moment to reflect, to even go digging for any of this type of data.
Right.
And they're lining their pockets every single day because of your lack of intelligence.
Your true. Meaning you don't know.
You just don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I love when Anpu talks about it because it's so refreshing to hear. Yeah, it's so eye-opening to hear. Now, before we get out of here on that note, because see, I can't let you leave without explaining this.
Yeah.
So many people parrot this phrase.
Yeah. 3/5, I believe, the phrase. Yeah.
3/5.
Yeah.
They felt like we not even a whole human. No, please.
Yeah.
Explain to the people what that is and how it actually, and this is not philosophy.
Oh no, this is a fact.
This is on paper. Explain to them how that actually benefited the quote unquote free slaves.
Yeah. I got you. Let me say two things to add on to that. Just give y'all some history real fast. Shout out to John Jay, founding father on the Declaration of Independence. John Jay from New York was the first United States Supreme Court Chief Justice. But you're going to find out that John Jay also created the New York Manumission Society to free slaves. But you're going to have to understand some people inherit slaves as kids when their daddy died, their mama died. But then they would later turn against the tide and create societies to free slaves. This is your first Chief Court Justice. Let me point your attention to a gentleman by the name of George Boutwell, the first IRS director. He is quoted as saying Florida and South Carolina should be given to black people. This is the first director of the IRS, and I can go on and on. So the 3/5 thing, right? We all heard it. Jay-Z even fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Shit, Malcolm X just knew he was motherfucking busting it down in the fucking interview. Malcolm thought he was on his shit. They see you just a government who see you at 3/5 of a human being, worse than the dog, worse than the hog, worse than the pig, huh? He thought he was spitting it, right? So listen, one, we have to understand who are they talking to? Nobody knows that. Where they're talking to the House of Representatives and Congress, not the senators, the House of Representatives. So we got to understand who's being addressed here. What's the rules for these House members? Now, if you're going to represent a slave, North or South, which part of the country is representing the slaves? Was it the North or was it the South? It was the South, right? So now we're talking to Southern slaveholder representatives in Congress. Okay, so we got to be clear about that. So they said, listen, man, when it comes to taxes and how you get your vote, you can count all of free people, which is white folks. You can count all free people. You can't count Indians non-tax, and you can count 3/5 of all other persons. You can count. So if you say that's the slaves, 3/5 is 60%. You can count 60% of the slave population. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very simple math. Each representative at the time can only represent 30,000 people. This is why some states got a whole bunch of goddamn representatives, right? It's only 2 senators per state, but the reps be like crazy because it's based off of 30,000 people blocks, okay? And so if you have 1 million slaves on a census, break out a calculator, 1 million slaves on the census divided by 30,000 per representative, you're going to have 33.33333 representatives in Congress to represent these million slaves from down south. If you only count 60% of 1 million, that's 600,000. If you take 600,000 and divide it by 30,000 per representative, that equals exactly 20. What did you just do? They went from 33 if they count all the slaves down to 20 if you count 3/5 or 60% of the slave population. You just shrunk the slave holders' representation in Congress, but you niggas walk around here talking about the government said you 3/5 as a human being. So I always say, well, hold on. If it's me, Jew, Mike P, and it's Henry and David, and we say, yo, Henry and David, you're not allowed to the party to get counted, bro. How is Henry and David 3/5 of a human being when it was talking about counting 3 out of 5 people? It has nothing to do with you as being 3/5 of a human being. You understand what I'm saying? And so that actually worked in our favor. Excuse me, stupid motherfucker. You don't know. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, we really supposed to walk around here champion that shit. Like, listen, you Southern motherfuckers got played, dummies. Y'all got beat out of representatives when they did this.
That's right.
Again, think about this. Because eventually the free states won.
That's right.
It was a slave state, Delaware, free state, then free state, then slave state, and then the free state, then the slave state. And then if they went too free, then they came back with 2 slaves. And it kept on going like that. I promise you, when you go look at the history of how the states came into the Union, right? And so in the early inception of this shit, these dudes can't even count the entire slave population. So it was a plan that we can clearly see from 1774, like I said already, that said, yo, King George, we ain't fucking with the slavery shit. See, listen, it's a known fact that Thomas Jefferson had put in the Declaration of Independence the slavery shit gonna go too. But they had to check my nigga TJ. TJ, yo, you tripping. Because this is the American Revolutionary War that we fighting right now. And you about to make South Carolina and the South fight against us, which in the future, damn near 100 years from now, that's going to be called the American Civil War. So if you imagine trying to get niggas free when the country ain't even got its own independence,
it wouldn't be no America.
It wouldn't be no America. It's the United States of America. It's the Revolutionary War and the Civil War taking place at the same time. And now in the South is going to join the British, and we ain't going to never get this shit off the ground. Fuck out of here, pussy. That's my New York swag. Fuck out of here, pussy.
So listen. Y'all, that was a refreshing history lesson, right? So listen, man. Man, it's tough segueing out of that conversation, man, because that just sucks so much air out of the room. For people who may not know, it's like, whew, wow, right? Let me ask you this, man. Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the biggest missteps that people take on their journey to self-realization, man? Like, you know what I mean? I have my own opinions on it, but I want to let the people hear what you think about this, man. Like, what do you think are some of the things that people should try to avoid or may impair their growth on their timeline of actually reaching or attaining the lifestyle that they say they want to live or be or have?
Man, that's a dang great question, man. Honestly, not learning the inner mysteries of your brain first, consciousness, how your brain responds. Your brain wants you to be safe, and anything that's new could really be perceived as fear, because it wants you to be safe. I would say us going into the external sciences and not understanding our own internal biological makeup is in how perception is creating an internal explosion of thoughts and chemicals within, and us needing to understand consciousness as king and how to master that and in the different levels of it. That's one. Two would be, you know, for anything that's dealing with, you know, anything that's locked down, King Alfred plan, which ain't gonna never happen. I heard I put in a rap, you know, King Minister Juice said, you know, this is the slowest rotisserie ever. Like when is the King Alfred plan gonna come and put niggas in concentration camps in Rex 84? When? I mean, you're populating more than white people. It's 2024 now. You're more popular than ever, more money than ever. Like, goddamn, when the white man coming to do something to us? Like he ain't coming, y'all. You see what I'm saying? He just ain't coming. So any conversation that's dealing with MK Ultra, mind control, anything that's showing the so-called superiority of an enemy, and especially when it doesn't give you copy and paste blueprint to say, oh, them motherfuckers doing this is what we gonna do to trump that shit, then you can't listen to none of that kind of shit. So I think anything dealing with, you know, that kind of shit is very, especially for men, you know what I mean? That makes you not want to get up and go get it and be a champion and be a winner in life, because you feel like the white man's gonna come and he's gonna take it from me and knock you down with your bitch ass. I don't like it. So anything that's dealing with that, I feel like is absolutely the biggest hindrance. Listening to too much information. I'm gonna be clear. Well, I said it, and this ain't Minister Juice saying it. So I said it, and I take the heat for saying it. Phil Valentine and Bobby Hemmett are not the fucking same. So if you think that's the same, you sadly mistaken. You sadly mistaken. And see, what happens is you're listening to too much information and you can't even differentiate, or you think everybody is cool because it's black, or this the elder and things of that nature. And this ain't no knock all them. This is about information and the progression of consciousness, period. And so you're listening to too much shit, and you scatter. And then when you look in your own life, you ain't really made no motherfucking progress in that shit. Let me tell you something, man, about these conscious niggas. They broke. They don't fuck with money, so they ain't having money conversations, right? Niggas is selling shea butter, okay? Like we in motherfucking Africa. And listen, somebody got to sell it, right? But my point is, there is no plan to galvanize and really truly put us in a better position from the information and from the time lot and slot that we have been allocated. Meaning we're in a moment right now where we can collectively change our reality individually, and for the collective that choose to get involved and come up with a plan to do something, right? So when like you'll get to a point where you're going to grow tired of listening to shit. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get tired of listening to me. Everybody ain't for me. I get that. You're gonna get tired of listening to Jew, but you'll be back again. That's gonna happen, right? Because you gonna understand that the things that we present are actually tangible results that show up in your life. And the only thing you have to do, which is the hardest thing, which is dedicate yourself to repeating the process until you get to this. It's a marathon until you get to the finish line. But to answer your question, it's too much information. You jumping around too much, and you don't know that your perception create reality. Like we was having a conversation in the Patreon, in our book club that we have, and the topic had came up about white folks using the ancient science against us and stuff like that, and whatever in the case may be. All right, cool. But if we are from the school of thought that thoughts and observation create reality, and you really believe that shit, then we can't spend 1 nanosecond having a conversation about the white man being superior in any shape, form, or fashion, because our thoughts create images and that image becomes reality. You can never ever talk about anything that is to your demise on a mental plane, because you're giving it energy and it's going to manifest. You can't have that conversation. So now the biggest challenge now is, can you stop interjecting white people in the power system? Stop it. See if you can stop it. That shit gonna be hard as a motherfucker.
And with all of this, and listen, man, with all of this spirituality and everybody knowing how to do this ritual and that ritual, right? Consciousness this, consciousness that. How can we? Can't forget the big one, Noble. All the melanin that you got.
Yeah.
Right? How can it be all of these things? And in the next breath, you worried about something that you got on the dark internet about what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. Some governmental agency going to do this or they're going to do that. But you God, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
See,
you got
that's really what he's speaking to right here. Like, when do we get to this point, man? And see, this is the thing. A lot of people are falling victim to this the charismatic nature of people in their speaking ability, and so they're drawn into that and never stop to analyze and say, "Wait a minute, man. Wait. I haven't really seen no result from this." You know, like Scripture always say, you're supposed to judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. Where are the witnesses, people?
mm,
Where are the witnesses to the work? That's the question. And so that's
mm.
why me and my brother been like the outcasts
Oh, facts.
in this thing called consciousness, because they know, trust me, they know if that conversation ever arise, some people
Listen,
gonna have to walk the plank.
listen. I tell people all the time. Ask Minister Jew if they say, "Hey, Jew, you and Anpu coming on the show." Did they not give Minister Jew word to say they tell Anpu to chill?
Oh yeah,
I get gag orders. You feel me?
yeah.
I for
Don't
real, man. I swear to God, I get gag orders. I swear
listen,
to you.
man. Listen,
Motherfuckers
man.
tell my homie, tell that nigga to chill out, man. We may
That's
have to put some work in when that nigga start talking. We may have to do something when this nigga talk.
and that be the thing.
Come on, man.
That be the thing. The rubber got to meet the road. Y'all hear me say that all the time. And so just be mindful, man. I think you nailed it there, DeBeer. Just it's so much information, right? What can be
Yeah,
applied? What can be applied? And so
yeah.
that takes me to my next question, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I sensed this had to be like 2017.
Mm.
I sensed the frustration from
Mm-hmm.
Anpu, right? Where he was like, Jew, I ain't teaching no more astrology classes, right? Jew, I'm not teaching no more Kabbalah classes, right? And I'm like, okay, all right. And I just watched it, because he's on his own quote unquote journey.
Yeah.
And so then my brother turned the page, right? He turned the page and he went into real estate.
Mm.
He went into real estate. And so I want you to elaborate to the people what caused that shift in Ampu from the
Man.
cosmic teacher to what appeared to be a closing of the books or closing of that chapter where you
Yeah.
said, listen, man, I'm going over here to this terra, this earth, this foundation, and I'm about to do something new, Jew. Like what pushed you to go into that direction?
Yeah, it was a cosmic mirror in the heavens, though. It's called the midlife crisis.
Okay.
It was late 2016. Rick Ross came out. It's time to buy back the block, and I was like, "Ooh, nigga, that's hitting my soul, nigga. Buy back the block, nigga. You talking shit like that, nigga? Gonna buy the block, nigga? What? Oh, you can't tell a nigga like that. Shit gets me excited, right? And so I'm 39. I'm about to turn 40 soon, and I'm disgusted with my own personal level of finance. And the truth of the matter is, I said, this is the back half of your life, homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, this the back half. Damn, nigga, you ain't where you wanted to be. Them little dreams you had in 85 as a kid, nigga. You ain't where you want to be, nigga. Like, what happened? And I said, yo, I gotta change. I gotta get. I'm spiritually rich, Thank God, in a sense. It's like I got that wealthy there. My network, my supporters that's here. We wealthy in that. But I want this to translate into some finances. And here's the thing, and hear me closely when I tell y'all this. I didn't want to do that at y'all expense. meaning I didn't want to have to create, and there's nothing wrong with it because it's, it's scripture to even verify it should be done. I didn't want to have to come up with product and services and a whole bunch of things and go hard and start marketing me and Pooh, the teacher, woo 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 and shit. Just because I had financial ambition. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to teach because I'm just not in the fucking mood to teach. How about that? But if I got financial pressure, I gotta be in the mood to teach. And I don't, when it comes to spirit, I give it when spirit gives it to me to give it. I don't do this for paper. So I wanted to create a wealth vehicle that was designed for money and actually take y'all with me and not take y'all with me and just get it off you like everybody else have been doing, right? And so I said, man, I've always had an interest in real estate. Back in the day, I'm about to show how old I was, and back in the day, like in 2000, I'm like 23, and it used to be dude from Chicago used to come on late night, Carlton Sheets, no money down real estate. Well, I bought that program at 23, 24 years old, and I got approved to buy a house at that time, but I was scared at 23, 24, and I didn't pull the trigger. And now it will be 17 years later that I'm going through this midlife crisis and I want to jump into real estate. And so, family, friends, we got together and we was like, yo, I'm in. So salute to, those that's in, you know what I mean? The Justins and, everybody, a lot of people that's in. And I went and bought a property, and you never forget your first deal. So bought that house. It was a corner house, a brick house, and bought it for 65 cash, and held it for about 3 months and exited out at 79.9. So almost 80,000, and which is the equivalent of $15,000, which is about $5,000 a month. For the little bit of period of time that we had it, and I was like, oh shit, not bad for my first pick. And then took the money and came your way. We came to Chicago, bought a house, and we flipped. Became a nightmare, you know what I mean, to a degree. You know what I
Not
mean?
to a degree.
Yeah, then COVID hit, and the dude stealing, one contractor coming back, stealing from the other one and stole some of our floors and our toilet and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I had kept evolving, and I had learned a different aspect of real estate called wholesale, which I think everybody should learn, at least, because you damn near create money out of thin air. And I basically put up 10,000 of my own money to make sure that none of my people lost money. And that's just the type of dude that I am. I ain't gonna let you lose. And if I got something, then you got something. That's just always been me. I'm an Aquarius, my daddy Aquarius, and I get that from him for sure. And so I just kept, just doing some different deals and whatnot, kept on going. And so I mean, the whole purpose, bro, was to build wealth. And created something called the Family Wealth Club. And sometimes I'm impatient, I can admit that. And I just like, oh, motherfuckers was dragging their feet and shit and not really applying this shit. And I can get irritated. I ain't gonna lie about it. And but we was able to structure some nice deals. And one of my favorite things, one of my favorite stories in this too. And this is what I like to do with our members is, Coley Cole, she was, she had money in her retirement plan, but she was no longer working for the state no more. And her money was only making about 4%. And I said, man, I could double that shit. That's easy. And she went ahead and poured her money out, 70,000, and put it into something called a self-directed IRA. And a self-directed IRA simply allowed you to write a check out of that IRA, and there's no stipulations when that got to come back. But you can't write a check to family members or yourself because now you're just bullshit. And Uncle Sam, like, no, you can't do that. We're about to tax you. And so you can convert your IRA over to a self-directed IRA, but you have to find a third-party person who you can, make it make money. And so I bought 2 houses, and this was the first time I bought houses that were directly next door to each other. So I've had one already. And then when Nicole got her money, I bought the one next door. And I had a land contract on the first one where the lady wanted 30,000. I gave her 15 in cash and told her I paid her the remaining 15,000, like $150 a month for the next like 5 years or something. But since Nicole had this money, I went ahead and paid Miss Pam off her 15,000, and I reimbursed myself my 15,000, and then bought the house next door for 30,000, and then the rest I put inside of remodeling the newer property. And so Nicole's 4% instantly went up to 8% because I promised I will double her money, and every single month to this day, she gets money from me every single month. And the truth of the matter is, I became passionate about that and showing families how to do deals for yourself, do deals collectively together. I'll bow out of a deal. Like I let Nicole. This is the thing. I let Nicole buy into a house I already had. It's more fee. If a lady say I owe her 15,000 and my tenant is paying that bill 150 a month, I now have to pay more to Nicole to double her income. But what I do, I acquiesce and say, well, just give me my bread back and I'm gonna go ahead and make another move. You see what I'm saying? And so I didn't have to share that, but I'm not that dude. I feel like it's my duty and my obligation to help people, you know. And
Uh-huh.
so and then my other favorite is Van, salute to Van. And my New York voice words bond. You know what I mean? Like we got a fourplex unit right now on sale for 189,000. We didn't even have this thing 3 years, and I think it'll be 3 years this upcoming March. And we got it in contract for 85,000. Only had to put like maybe 3 grand down. So the value was 85, but out of pocket expense to get the deal was only like 3 grand or less. And now let's even say we owe them 85, and we about to sell it for 189. It looked like there's a gross $100,000 on the table right here. So I've been doing my thing, and I can actually show y'all some of this stuff when I get into real estate stuff in that bag. Y'all got to check it out, man, because I'm actually, and shout out to the Fifth House because she introduced me to some of her friends, and I showed a webinar with them where I actually outperform hedge funds 3 to 5 times on a return as far as rent to value, um, and which is a whole nother concept in a sense. So I just kept learning, bro, and doing deals. And the whole goal was the whole catalyst for that was half my life is over. There's a scripture in Proverbs, I believe it's in Proverbs, that say a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. So if I
Mm.
don't leave an inheritance for my grandkids, then what the fuck you saying? I'm a bad person? And see, this shit to me is about being a motherfucking man, bro. Like, goddamn, hold your nuts, get up and go get something, nigga. Like, is somebody holding you back or they ain't holding you back? If they holding you back, beat they motherfucking ass, get them out the way, and let's fucking win. Ain't nobody holding me back. In fact, fucking banks and white folk, they calling me, hey, yeah, I got some money for you. Just put a down payment on. We want to loan you some money, type shit, So, that was it, bro. It was just a matter of being disgusted. You got to get to see anger by itself, and this is why I love the movie Inside Out. And by the way, they're coming out with part 2 this summer, I believe.
What?
Oh yeah, part 2 coming out. They're introducing a new emotion, nigga. I think it's gonna be anxiety, if I'm not mistaken. But they're introducing a new emotion into the mix. Um, but I lost my train of thought. But it's just it's just about you know creating a wealth vehicle, man. And I didn't want to die without giving my best effort. You know what I mean? And I've always had financial ambition, and so I just want to get it, bro. You know.
So listen, man, this. I guess we'll wrap it up with this question here. Because I think we've had a lengthy discussion, man, on your journey through consciousness, man. So I guess uh, a fitting question to wrap this up would be, to you, Noble Ampu,
Mm-hmm.
what does the merger of the Eastern traditions of spirituality and meditation and um, you
Mm.
know, past lives and all of these different ideas and concepts that uh, for the most part, originate over East. How do you envision the merger of that science with the Western hustle and bustle? Let's check a bag, let's get to a bag, capitalism, etc., etc. How do we merge these two things and have the best of both worlds and be fulfilled, wholly fulfilled, um, standing in those two giant philosophies and or concepts? How do we merge those two things?
Man, that's a dope question, man. I'm glad you said that, and I got a testimonial that it's going to show y'all the answer to verify this answer as well. And I got it loaded up back here as well so y'all can see it. But it's East Coast knowledge with West Coast swag. And when we say East Coast, we simply talking about the Orient. Usually the information is Indian, African, and Asian, right? So it's China, India, Tantra, meditation, yoga, African, Egyptian, in a sense. China, when you're dealing with Tai Chi and stuff, which I'm heavily involved in and whatnot, and actually have an order within the order. So on my Patreon, you can come into Patreon, but then there's a group of us, a core group of us who do Tai Chi every single day and work on practices on opening up the meridians in the body to get the energy to flow within ourselves so we can be our optimal best physically and mentally and spiritually as well. But you have to ask, and it's just, hey, I send you some papers, you read them. If it resonate with you, then I say, hey, join the Tai Chi class and let's get busy. And every morning I send them an email every single morning to show that, hey, I've done my work, I'm dedicated to this particular practice, and we're really having the ball doing it. But to answer the question, it's me and you, bro. It's taking this information but making it relatable to the people. And I'm gonna curse and say certain words because I come from a certain stock, but not only that, it's because I really care about the demographic of people or where I come from to make sure that I leave, they say success leaves a trail, and it leaves clues. And so what I want to do is speak it in a language where they'll wake up and they get it, because I do believe for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, um, the Chicago nigga is the worst nigga on the planet, and he needs help. And I'm about to sick a bear. I'm about to sick a bear on his ass. Seriously, like these states are some very pitiful, dangerous states to be in, and I just want to do my part to help in a sense. But anyway, man, we do it, bro, by just merging the science with conversation, merging the science with some of that real fucking talk. You know what I'm saying? Real way,
Street gospel. That street
like
gospel.
yeah, the street gospel, like the way you teach the Bible, and you got testimonials of a woman crying, and because she loved the way you teach the Bible, and all her life she's been looking for someone to explain it and make it plain. And that's the thing. Nobody's taking these lofty ass Eastern concepts and these allegorical stories and making it plain. That's the problem. I mean, just we call it keep it real, right? In the West,
Right.
just keep it real. Goddamn. So, another word, if Job, and the story of Job in the Bible, and God see the devil and he's like, hey, devil, where you been? That's equivalent to saying, yo, what up, nigga? What's up with you? Where you been at, homie? You know what I'm saying? Like, just make it plain. You know what I mean? And so just really make the teachings plain, but most importantly, have something far as a practice, or what Minister Jew calls a technique, that you can integrate into your life, so you will be able to acquire the thing that you want to acquire. um the United States of America, as far as the Western goes, indigenous knowledge here is basically Native American knowledge, and that's not gonna fill the cup. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? You with Little Crow and all that, it just ain't gonna be really fulfilling. All right, and it's anti-money too. And see, that's another thing. A lot of these things don't deal with the concept of finance either. And so one of the things that I'm on to answer this question right now, and we can show this testimonial as well, is how do you bridge this spiritual wealth that you have? Because see, all y'all here, y'all smart as fuck, man. You smart. You know law of attraction and the mind creates, and you know this. So then I'm the type of nigga that'll come up to Annie to be like, all right, Jew, you big Jew, Jupiter Jew. All right, homie, this what we gonna do. Before we get to BMW, nigga, you gonna get to church, nigga. Right?
Right.
Like I'm that type of dude that's gonna be like, hey, yo, I'm gonna go in real estate and we about to get this bag over here too. But let's also visualize the winning aspect of it so all of us can grow. Let's make it happen since we are the gods. The scriptures say, do you not know ye
Are
are
what?
gods? That's what the scriptures say.
Hey
Do
man,
you not know?
what's the one? Jesus Christ was rich, but became poor so that you may be rich.
And money answers all
Small
things.
thing. Oh boy.
And money answers all things, right? So let's challenge ourselves. We know it. So what I've done is in the Patreon that I have, and you can see the link right there, I created something called, we got a 6-month commitment. And this little book right here is called The Science of Getting Rich. And it's the actual
Show that again, Noble. Show that.
the Science of Getting Rich by
Mm-hmm.
Wallace Waddles. And this was the motivation behind Rhonda Byrne creating The Secret when she read this book. So I paraphrase, but dude is like, listen, if you follow the mental principles in this book, it is an absolute guarantee you're going to be rich. And I said, God damn, this little ass book, you got to be shitting me. Now, I didn't already built my net worth is I'm 7 figures in net worth, right? And that's just being honest. It ain't no braggadocious shit because it ain't cash and I desire the cash. So now I've just made a new move to go more cash, but net worth wise, shit, I'm there. And so, but anyway, this book is promising that you will get rich if you follow the tenets. So I told everybody in the Patreon, everybody that's with me on my Star Network that been with me for over a decade, listen, if you want to take this journey, we're going to lock in for 6 months because that's right. The planet Jupiter, which represents abundance and luck, is in the sign of Taurus right now, which represents money. And Taurus is the emblem for the bull, is the emblem for Merrill Lynch and Bank of America, the bull. And the bull market is when the market goes up. Well, if this shit is real like that, show me, nigga. See, I'm that nigga. Show me. I'm from Missouri. Show me.
The
So you
money.
promise that I can get rich? That's what you promised. This book made a promise. You're going to get rich. I said, all right. Hey, y'all, for 6 months, every Sunday and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have 2 chapter reviews, chapter 1 and 2. Then next week we do 3 and 4, and so forth and so forth. And so what I'm doing is we're giving you the mental principles, and then we're going to come back in this 6-month period, within this period, that we're going to have more tangible things to do. Maybe like, what is your one thing that you should be focusing on? What is your purpose? What's your focus? That type of thing. The rules of money. Like, we need to know the rules of money, man. Like, I seen the Instagram feed today, man, bro, when dude was like, listen, don't you know that if you got an LLC, you can pay your child, if you have a child, or pay child $13,500, and that's non-taxable. The government be like, okay, that 13.5 you paid them, we ain't gonna tax that shit. You can then take half of that 6,500, put it in the Roth IRA. Say they 13, 14, put it in the Roth IRA. Let that shit sit till they about 60 years old. And at the current rate that the S&P 500, meaning the top 500 companies, has been going through history, 9-10%, it'd be $1 million about time that kid be 60 years old. And you only made a one-time contribution of $6,500. And guess what? That $1 million that's in that Roth, that's tax-free money too. So at some point, we're going to have to learn technical skills of money. And so it's a thin line between the manifesting aspect and being delusional and being irresponsible with finances, right? And so we have to learn how to bridge that gap. See, it's one thing to know that, yeah, I should save money and I should invest money. But then when you get money, you don't do the shit. To know it and to do it is 2 totally different things. And what I like to show people now is this is how you do it, like Montel Jordan. This is how we do it, right? And so if you don't mind, bro, I can play this quick testimonial and then we can get out of here. And
Go
that's
right
it.
here.
And this is from my homie Sharita, man.
For my entrepreneurial friends, especially those of you who are perfectionists, you're going to want to listen to this. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to reach your audience, knowing when to show up, where to show up, how to show up, exactly what message to say on what day, when, how, why, etc. Well, let me tell you, I found the secret sauce. Noble Anpu's Patreon is where it's at. Just hear me out on this. Not only do you get deep dives in live Q&As where you can show up, ask all your questions, but let me tell you, the monthly reports are where it's at. Detailed, not only day by day, but practically hour by hour. Not just your personal chart, but also what's going on in the collective. So now I know what to expect ahead of time, where to show up, how to show up, what message I want to give that day that my audience can best receive. Now, let's talk about results because that's what we really want, right? Since being with Anpu and applying all of these techniques, all of the information that he's given, using my monthly reports, not only have I had some fun little lottery wins here and there, I mean, those are always cool, right? My husband and I landed our first multi-six-figure government contract. And again, knowing when to show up, how to show up, what message to give, knowing when they would receive the information and how it would be received, that we could show up in a way that spoke directly to our audience. One of the big kickers is leveraging this information, leveraging our astrology reports. And in doing so, we've gotten referrals from the government contract. Like, never would have expected that to happen. So here's the thing, this is a true investment, not only in self, but in your business as well. Because not only is Noble Anpu an astrologer, he is a devout businessman. So a lot of the information you're gonna get is not only gonna apply to your personal life, but you're going to be able to apply it from the unique perspective of a business owner. As entrepreneurs, we know our success is wholly dependent upon us and our willingness to go the extra mile to make sure that we succeed. My name is Sharita Bagby, and take it from me, you want to link up with Noble Anpu now. In fact, not now, but right now. Take the time, reach out to Noble Anpu, jump in the Patreon, and leverage this information into your next win. Well, let's keep it real, into multiple wins. And in the meantime, I will see you on the inside.
Speak to, well, you mentioned mentors, right? Who are your top three in business in this sense for you?
Well, honestly, I'm going to put you in that top three right now because so much of the, I'm sorry, I have front and back. I know everybody else has questions too, but, and you will, if I ask you the questions, you don't hold back. You answer and you give me another perspective. For sales, there is a woman who I worked with back in 2018, and this was the first high ticket coach I ever worked with. And just to give, it's not a brag, but just to give an idea, when I say high ticket, she was 24,000, but you had her for a year.
Now, can you hear me, Ju?
I can hear you.
Now, one, y'all, I don't do the Astro reports. If I ever send out an email and I say Astro reports is back open, you better jump in. She got multiple six-figure contracts. You heard her say that, right? Two things. Ju, when she got six-figure contracts, bro, she didn't even pay me $200 yet by being in the membership.
Man, you know I always say this. You can't even quantify it. You can't quantify it, bro.
You can't quantify it, bro. You can't. When people get raises like that, she only pays $30 a month and haven't even paid me $200 yet and got a six-figure contract, right? And then in contrast, she also paid a big ticket, which she say not the stunt, but she paid $24,000 to learn sales, right? Which is $2,000 a month. And for $30 a month, she got a
2 6-figure contracts.
Figure contract. So I made a video today to my Patreon people, and I told them, I said, listen, excuse my French, but like, don't get it fucked up just because I'm charging $15 for y'all to be in here and think, because I know how the mind work. It ain't no value at 15 and something $15. That ain't shit. So therefore, I don't have to participate in this shit. And perhaps this membership ain't shit. Don't get it fucked up. I'm telling you now. Because see, I'm gonna pour into you if you want to be poured into by asking the question. If I know, I know. If I don't, I don't. I have no problem giving you recommendations and saying, yo, you need to check this out. Whoop-de-whoop, that's going to be good for you. Make that move. All right. And so my Patreon is only $15. And again, what we focus on now is creating prosperity together. And it's, we get together on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern, book club review, and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And every single morning, I drop a post from, Rhonda Byrne and Magic to give us some daily motivation. And I put videos in there as well and whatnot. And most importantly, if I got deals or something going on, I'm always going to run my mouth and give you an opportunity to jump in, because as y'all may know, maybe you don't know, like I'm part of, I linked up with a new partner, and we doing some high-end stuff where houses are going for 1.4 million and whatnot. And, literally just bought into some of these houses as well. And, we scaling up, you know what I mean? So I done went from houses that got roaches, right? I didn't have roaches. The chick put roaches in them. I want to be clear. She bought a stove that had roaches and whatnot, and sold that house. And we making power moves now. You know what I'm saying? So if you come over, man, be ready to work. And salute to Sharita, man, because she literally freaking begged me. I'm like, nah, it's not open. It's not open. She literally begged me and down there made me put her in. But that kind of tenacity I knew would pay off, because I know it when I see it. I know it when I see it. And if I see it, fifth house, if I see it, yo, put this work in. No, I'm saying put this work in, because see, man, we had the most beautiful time in history. This is a fucking golden age, Jew. This is like the real golden age of ages. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's more prosperity than anything ever. You know what I'm saying? And where's that piece of the pie, man? So anyway, man, I digress with that, brother. And thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you. And I love you, man.
Look, the testimonials keep coming in. Listen, I just went to Instagram, right? I just went there, and this was in my inbox on a request, right? This is from Bright Flower, right? She says, "Hey, Minister Jew, reporting in with a testimony. I went to the mailbox yesterday to receive an unexpected check from a settlement I knew nothing about. I have been doing the wishing well meditation. Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Listen, man.
This is what the brother is talking about. We have systems, practices. The information is useful because you have to do something with it.
Yes.
You're just not storing you know what I want to call this information? A lot of this information, you know what it is, the beer?
What's that?
Like junk DNA is junk information.
Junk information. What's the other shit you call conscious sci-fi?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? You can't do junk information. You just it's just there. It's just I can have a conversation at the cooler about some giants.
Right. Hey, that shit burns you up. Don't get them started, man. It's not that the thing ain't real. It's about how is that going to help you benefit. Now, if you're just an information junkie, admit that you're an information junkie and stay a junkie. But one thing I love about our platforms is we're trying to go from your current state to a better future state in the physical, and not just regurgitate information. And so,
absolutely, man. So listen, man. So Noble, so what they got to go to your page to join
man. Yeah, you just go to patreon.com. It's right here on the screen, y'all. Y'all go to patreon.com/Noble Anpu. Bam, you will see it. It's right there.
That's right, man. Y'all go sign up for that tonight. As y'all see, that brother is pumping out winners over there.
Oh yeah, 6 figures or better.
that 6 figures or better,
Yeah.
right? Go over there, get going, get started tonight. All right. And look, if you're interested in the methodologies from myself, the Imagination Guru, Minister Jew, visit the website, theimaginationguru.com. Join the membership today.
Yeah, the
We
boy
done changed,
cold.
we done changed lives. We done
The
all
boy
kind of
cold.
stuff that happened. We ain't
Hey, man, the boy cold, man. The boy got the boy is highly favored. I mean, highly favored. It ain't no questioning about it. There's some invisible forces that fuck with the kid. Easy.
man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. Look, man, we got one question in here, man. Somebody, she did ask. I'm sorry for Lotus. Wait, was that Lotus Flower? Wait a minute. Was that you, Lotus Flower? Okay, that was Bright Flower that sent me the testimonial. Okay, so here goes the question. Can you see that, Noble?
Yeah, I see it on the screen. Yeah.
Minister Jew, can you address my question about hoodoo and voodoo, the ancestors and consciousness? So she asked this question. I don't know if I'm presuming this is a young lady. Asked this question earlier to you, Noble. Like, what do you think about voodoo and hoodoo and the ancestors?
Listen, I think that voodoo and hoodoo to me has always been about concentrated thought form. I mean, only thing you doing in a sense is, oh, okay, well, you got this deity name, or you may draw, you're certain, let's just call it a ritual. You're gonna draw a diagram this way because the system says do it. But at the core, it's about concentrated thought. And when you put yourself in ceremonial form like that, such as, okay, let me light up the candles, but let me wait till it's dark, and you start doing things, you are intensifying your concentration. And so I just think it's concentrated thought. And we all know that thoughts manifest into reality. And I don't necessarily get into that it's good or it's bad. I've always saw it at the core, like, because we know voodoo especially always had a stigma to it that it's a curse and you get messed up. And I've always been amazed at the fact, like, you mean to tell me just because a motherfucker is concentrating on you hard enough, all of a sudden your world goes into this reality? Okay, that means thought is supreme. Okay, what do I need to be doing in the realm of thought being supreme to make sure that I achieve what it is that I want to achieve? So to me, voodoo is nothing more than the law of attraction, because the truth of the matter is the ritual or the whatever it is, it has an end goal, it has a target, it wants to manifest as something, right? So to me, that's law of attraction work, and it just comes from what we would call African spirituality or Haitian spirituality or New Orleans spirituality in a sense as well. But at the end of the day, it's just the law of mentalism to me.
Listen, I didn't know Lotus Flower. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was the sister that earlier that sent me this testimonial, but she clarified it, right?
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She said she got her Cambridge reduced today. So this is her testimonial, y'all. Y'all probably can't see it, but it was a text message that she sent to my business line earlier this morning at 8:06 a.m. I received this, and she mentioned in this communication how she been saying a specific line in scripture that we used in our 21 days of journaling.
Mm-hmm.
She's a model of consistency, and she hasn't stopped. And then these type of things happen where she's putting money back in her pocket, and operators are saying, "Oh no, this is the price. I don't know what you like. No, you good."
Mm-hmm.
So it happens all the time, man.
And congratulations to you for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, Noble, this is a great build, man. Listen, man,
I appreciate you, man.
I ain't did a 2-hour joint. I can't remember last time I was.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
this was thoughtful. It was impactful, man. Hopefully everybody out there gained something from this tonight. You guys kind of can get a backstory to Noble Anpu and kind of how me and this brother met and how we came to be the brothers that we are to this particular day. So with that, man, I don't know, man. I might do a broadcast tomorrow, Wednesday night. I don't know if I'm gonna let this suffice for this week, but I don't know. I'll make my mind up on that tomorrow sometime.
I'll take them to church, man. Take them to church.
Take them to church.
Take them to church, man.
All right, man. Maybe I gotta take them to church then. But look, man, we love y'all. We appreciate you guys. Thank you as always, man. Share this information with your people. Let them know about Minister Jew. Let them know about Noble Anpu. Let them know about the priesthood. We want this message to spread as far and wide as possible, man. But again, we want to thank you guys for your continued support. And we're gonna sign out this joint, man.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.